I rise to second that the House adopt the report on the Senate Sessional Committee on County Public Account and Investment on the inquiry into the financial operations of Kisii County Executive for the financial year 2013-2014, which runs from July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014. Madam Speaker, from the onset, one of the things that I'd like to note, and which I should have actually noted for the other reports that I've seconded, is that at this particular time, the financial responsibility was all under the executive, because the county assemblies did not have, they were not semi-autonomous as the way they are now. That semi-autonomous were given to them in July 1st, I think July 1st, 2015. So, Madam Speaker, the same issues that we observed on the other counties, which Senator Amos Wako has said were occasioned by lack of capacity, are the same issues that we are noticing in the observations and recommendations that the committee came up with. One of the most disturbing issue is the issue of impress. I'm not sure whether this impress was ever recovered. And the challenge we have, Madam Speaker, is where now we have to be able to say this has got to be recovered. Particularly, one of the general recommendation by the committee then was that the impress which had been given to the MCAs be surrendered. Now, we are not aware of the status. It's from 2014, by the time this audit was done, and by the time the committee sat and interrogated the assembly and also the governor, whether there was any evidence to show that that impress had been surrendered. So, Madam Speaker, I agree with Senator Kajwang that now a subcommittee will have to follow up and ensure that these recommendations have been fully implemented. And it is imperative for the people of Kisii to note that they will now be paid, and those ones who never surrendered that impress will now have to surrender that impress plus interest. It is important that we follow the rule of law to the letter. One of the things that I completely do not agree with my colleagues is that there was an issue of capacity building, of capacity, in terms of the accounting officers. Madam Speaker, these accounting officers belong to professional bodies. These accounting officers were working for the national government, treasury. They were working for different departments. They were seconded to the county governments. Madam Speaker, we have institutions in this country like the Kenya School of Government, which really train these people on different regulations. We had the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2005. Madam Speaker, this is an act of ignorance or actually complicity. It is an issue where people don't even care about the rule of law. Because you cannot come in and say we had capacity challenges. That's the reason why we did not surrender impress, when you know that the law is there. So, Madam Speaker, as some of the recommendations, which I hope that even senators, when they're speaking to the county governments, I think it is important that the county government, instead of spending millions of shillings building residences for governors, which they will leave anyway after 5 or 10 years, they should spend some of that money in training and making sure that those officers who are tasked with their fiduciary duty are up to task, are up to speed with the subsequent regulations that come in or acts of parliament. Because the Public Finance Management Act is there to guide them. It is very, very clear, Madam Speaker. When you also read the Public Procurement Act, the Public Audit Act, you realize that some of these people don't have time to do that. They have time, if they have time to go and procure services through restricted tender, they should have time to be able to understand the consequences thereafter. So, Madam Speaker, because of the interest of time, and I would have hoped that we can be able to conclude on this matter, I think it is important that this House in its entirety not only leave the work to this committee, because these are things of 2013, 2014. I think now we all have to be very vigilant, because there are serious consequences with the mismanagement of funds, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to second.
Honorable Senators,